It's finally on digital, as well as the extended cut. I watched Pathaan extended edition, and I'll let you know what I think of this film. Chase Hockey here with the Blue Futon reviewing Pathaan extended cut. So let's talk about the extended cut real quick. It is 8 more minutes. The original cut is 2 hours and 28 minutes. The extended cut is 2 hours and 34 minutes. And what is different about it? You have different walking scenes, you have different deleted scenes, and the action set pieces are extended amount in that 8-minute time frame. And when looking at Pathaan in the box office for worldwide of 2023, it is number 6. John Wick and Shazam barely inched over it for the worldwide. And domestically in the United States, it made $17 million. That is really, really good. I remember like Brahmastra was expected to get that level. Apparently not. Pathaan is the one that did it. And I think it's at $112 million worldwide, which is pretty awesome. It's really, really, really rare to see an Indian movie do that well in worldwide. And we're already 3+ months into 2023. So congratulations. Anyway, what's this movie about? It's a spy movie through in and throughout. India, Pakistan, which I've noticed there's a lot of movies that's about India and Pakistan and Russia. We'll add it there because the dynamic is pretty, borderlands and stuff in the today's day and age of what's happening with Russia, what's happening with India, Pakistan, and China. Even though India, if I'm not mistaken, geopolitical politics, India wants to be more friends with Russia because China is encroaching on the Indian border. So that's just kind of not has to do with this movie, but it could for going to the second movie. But this is a spy movie through and throughout, and did I like it? I thought it was okay. Okay, I might get a lot of flack for this, but going into it, I was expecting a little bit more realism and not this wannabe Mission Impossible, but taking Mission Impossible realistic stunts to a level of like Marvel style of stunts. And I was like, I want a little bit more realistic. And it was very interesting of what the director decided to do with this movie when it went with the CGI and realism. But let's talk about the pauses. I think for being a 2 hour and 34-minute movie, I think it did zoom by pretty quick. I didn't think there was a pacing issue whatsoever. There were a good amount of twists and turns where I was like, this person's about to be a good guy, and they weren't. But then they were at the same end, so it kind of got me like, I thought you were going to do something different and interesting, but it didn't. But hey, it got me on the loop. But I've noticed too with a lot of Indian movies, there's not a lot of female bad guys. Like I want to see an Indian film where a female is like the most badass villain and she does a lot of twist and turn shit. But it feels like it has to be, they have to be the good guy. And that was the same thing with this one. I was like, is she gonna be the bad guy? And I realized, nah. I've seen a good amount of Indian movies, and I doubt she's gonna be on the villain side. And I'm not gonna tell you, but it's kind of you can kind of tell what I'm trying to get at. Anyway, the look good though. This movie looked like it had a freaking massive budget. And what do I mean by that? When it wasn't doing the CGI elements, when it was doing the painting scenes while you're in Spain, and just the gorgeousness of it. Like you could tell the cinematography and scout locations was pretty cool because they went to Paris in this, they went to Russia, India, Pakistan. I mean, who knows if they actually went there, but you know what I'm trying to get at. What scouting locations they decided to do was really, really cool. This reminds me, I want to say it reminds me, but I'm just more thinking about the last one I saw was an action film or an action hero. And that one was way more realistic than this one because that was more down-to-earth kind of spy action star trying to do his own thing. And I kind of enjoyed that one a little bit better because it was more down-to-earth. Because now we're going to go into the negatives of this film. I think it's just way too over the top and the CGI just didn't click as well as I think it wanted to. For example, in the very beginning when you have that bus scene with the helicopters and the Dodge car, yes, some of the traffic scene looked pretty good and realistic, but when we get to flipping some of the cars, you're just like, you could have probably done that in real life and it probably would have looked a million times better. For example, I think it was an Indian movie called 2.0. It's that weird guy that has the magnetic powers. There was a cool scene where there was like a car on the building. And it flipped off and it was real. So I was like, that is some good practical effects. Here, most of the car practical effects were fake. it looked like they tried to do some realistic stuff with the motorcycle chase, and the motorcycle chase was cool, but then it turned to like Day After Tomorrow, James Bond, Halle Berry, Pierce Brosnan style of like on the ice stuff, where I was like, yeah, we're getting some weird, unrealistic territory, and it just kind of took me out of the movie. Same at the very end. It wanted to go with some Captain America, Anthony Mackie style Falcon Winter Soldier stuff. And I was like, you're not the Falcon. And it's kind of funny because every time Pathaan wants to chase Jim, there's always a second one. There's always a second hang glider. There's always a second motorcycle. And apparently there's ice skates that fit the girls' feet perfectly to skate on that ice. So there's a lot of stuff where you just had to put a lot of disbelief. I thought the very end with the house scene could have been really freaking cool if like the house decided to do the final kaboom, but decided not to. It's like, oh, that could have ended like a freaking fantastic ending. But it was like, I understand what you're trying to go for. And then finally, I think the one thing where I was like, come on now, come on, was when they were doing the helicopter heist. Okay, this is a huge flaw I've noticed in the movie. You're supposed to start here, right? One tower's over here, one tower's over here, and you meet in the middle. How do these planes randomly meet some together and fly together? I just don't know, because you have a 10-minute window and you're kind of not doing it. So, like I said, I had a fun time with this movie. I thought it was pretty cool. It had its fun elements to it. But when I saw the other movies I've seen this year, like, I can't remember the names of it. Walter Verja, I think that was one of them, the one on the boat. And just those just felt more gritty, more down to earth, even though it wasn't like down to earth. I just had a more fun time with that, and especially with like an action hero or an action star. I can't remember what it's called again, but that one, like, it was a spy movie, down to earth in London, in the UK, and India. And I just enjoyed that more, that premise a little better. But you can have a fun time with Pathaan, and if you want to watch some bonkersness, this will be for you. So Pathaan will receive a 3 out of 5 with Futons, which equals at 60%. We'll see the critics' review scores gave this one. Okay, so I cheated. I haven't checked Rotten Tomato. I did check IMDb, and IMDb is about a 6.1, but then when I go to the reviews down below, they're bad. They're like 1 to 5, which I was kind of shocked. I was thinking, oh, this could be a 5 to 7 range. I was expecting that, but there was a lot of 3s saying they hated this movie. They didn't like it whatsoever. And let's talk about that. I was more interested in Tiger character. The scene where they're on the train and the Tiger spy came down on the train. I would rather see his storyline from the past. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they make a Pathaan 2. They focus a little bit more on Tiger, because I found that character to be a little bit more interesting. Anyway, let's see what Rotten Tomatoes is giving this film. I'm going to guess in the 70s. I take, 85. Fascinating. So you have 85 with 27 of them. Audience score 78 with over 500. Here's critic consensus. Slightly slapdash, but still intoxicating blend of an occasionally desperate ingredients. Pathaan offers over-the-top action thrills with Bollywood bells and whistles. So I guess this one's actually a Bollywood film, because I won't lie, I kind of get some of the regions messed up, and that is 100% this Westerner's fault. Anyway, 60, 78, or 85. Chase out with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know things Futon, Topia, Blue Futon. Thank you for watching a freaking fantastic day. I don't care if you're watching it now, tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, or a year from now. I love every single one of you. And I think the next one I'm going to watch is Disham 2. If I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry. Or there's another one on Netflix about a hijacking of a plane, which looks interesting. But I think we're at a point where like Three Amigos might come out on Amazon or Netflix. So we'll see what's popping on the digital streaming services near you. Just shut up and stop this video.